Welcome. This is part 5 of my tarot deck collection. I suppose it's probably a little bit past time that I introduce myself. So just quickly, I'm Meredith, and I'm with the Oasis Spiritual Empowerment, do spiritual life coaching, and I'm a certified practicing hypnotist. But this channel is really about tarot cards, oracle cards, and really how to use them to empower you, because that's what it's all about as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, for the first deck today is actually 2. It's the Lonely Dreamer Tarot. So I have the first edition and the second. So for the second, I just pulled out the cards that are different. So we'll go through after we take a quick look at the first edition. These are the backs. Now the backs of the second edition are very different, and to me, and it's not even just the backs, but there's something about it. This deck feels like spring and summer, and this feels like autumn and winter. So that's when I use them. You know, that's how I swap out. This is oops. So for the 8 of Wands, you have a choice of 2 different cards. So this is the card I chose not to pick. Sometimes I use it. I don't mind it. I just like the other one a little bit better. This deck. So I missed this originally on Kickstarter, and as soon as I discovered it, I absolutely had to have it, and I was fortunate enough to get one of the last copies in her Etsy shop. I believe it was Etsy. And then as soon as I received it, I knew that I had to always have this deck in my life. This deck just I don't know, it just speaks to my soul in very special ways. And in fact, this was the first deck the day I received it, I knew I had to have like a backup, which I've never done before. Done a couple times since. And of course, at that point it was sold out, and originally there was no plan for a second printing, so I went on a hunt, and I got very lucky. I found someone who received it through Kickstarter and just didn't vibe with the deck, so she actually sold it to me for a very reasonable price, and I was so happy. And then, of course, the second edition came out, and I'm sorry, I could just go through this whole deck, but I won't. So the second edition came out, and there were some changes. Some of the cards were different, so I had to get that too, but I only got one copy of the second edition. And like I said, I do kind of switch them out. So for the second edition, these are the cards that are different, or in some cases they're just extra cards. So this was the Seeker in the first edition, now it's the Fool. And this deck is just everything. And I backed the kind of sister oracle on Kickstarter, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I love how she made the back of the first edition into a card for the second. I just thought that was wonderful. This is just one of my all-time favorite decks, and I absolutely love it so much. I don't use it for anyone else. I just don't want to. I just want it for me. Maybe that'll change. maybe it won't. I mean, it's been a few years now, and I have not relented on that with this deck. It's just, this is my deck, you know? You ever have that kind of feeling about a deck? But next, oh, I put the ribbon on. That's okay. Next, we have the Spirit Keepers Tarot. Now, this is a deck that I've wanted for a long time. I wasn't able to get either of the earlier editions, but this is the Revelation, and this is the one that's in full color. So it kind of worked out for the best, because I definitely prefer decks that do have color. So those are the backs. Oh. So this deck is just, oh man. You know, Benabowin is so meticulous about, I'm pretty sure, everything. Certainly everything tarot related. She's got such a brilliant mind, and I am so grateful that she's chosen to share it with us. And there's so much within this deck, and it's such a powerful deck. And I mean, you could just take one card and spend the entire day just this is such an incredible deck. I can't say enough about it, and you know, it's really well known. It's probably no surprise to most people that I love it, and it's just absolutely incredible. The amount of thought and attention to detail that went into this is really, really astounding. And it's just wonderful, and I love it. And this is another one I keep just for me, and maybe it'll change, maybe it won't, I don't know, but for now I'm quite content keeping it all to myself. So that is another that's just an absolute favorite, and it is never going anywhere. This next deck is the Meraki Tarot. Now, this deck I backed on Kickstarter, and I don't remember exactly, but there were issues. I think it took a really long time to come. Whatever it was, it kind of turned me off from the deck. So by the time I received it, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, it's here. And I put it away. And it's terrible. This is such a beautiful deck. So it's been away for a long time. I only recently got it out when she launched the second edition Kickstarter. And that made me curious about how I might feel about this deck, because, you know, the second edition has no borders, and there are some changes, and I found myself very drawn to it, and I thought, well, that's ridiculous. I'm not even using the deck that I have. So I thought I'd pull it out, and I took another look, and the cards are so yummy. They're that soft, buttery feeling. And honestly, they're absolutely exquisite. I mean, the artwork is just wonderful. The quality is wonderful. And makes me realize that I definitely shouldn't have put it away for so long, because I love this deck. I gotta say, I love it. And yes, I caved and backed the second edition. Look at this. I mean, look at this. How could I not, you know? Yeah. And it reads beautifully. I mean, it's really, you know, if it's got a lot of the imagery you would expect if you're familiar with Rider-Waite-Smith. It's, you know, it's just so lovely. I mean, it really, really is. And I do like this. So it's, yeah, I just, and it's probably not picking up all of the wonderful variations in color and shading, and just, it's a really great deck. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get back to it. But yeah, I really love it. I really do. And whatever the deal was with the time it took, it was worth the wait. I will absolutely admit it was worth the wait. So, next, we have the Somnia Tarot. Now, I don't often like photographs in tarot decks. There are some exceptions, and this is absolutely one of them. This is such an inspired deck. You know, it's very clever, and it's just wonderful. I know I keep saying that, but it is. It's just that. Look at that. Oh man. It's just a fabulous, fabulous deck. And the interesting thing to me is that I think because it's photographs, and it has that sort of realistic feeling, right? That vibe that you might be just looking out your window onto the scene. But because of the way it's staged, if you will, because of the way it's photographed, it feels very surreal, you know? I mean, and look at that. It's just an incredible deck. It's very powerful. It's just a wonderful deck. And it's so clever and so evocative, and it really sucks me in. And look at that with the columns of smoke instead of pillar. I mean, oh. So yeah, I absolutely adore this deck. So glad I have it. And there's one. Just, oh, look at the 8 of Wands. I mean, how clever is that? I love that. It's just a great deck. And yeah, I love working with it. And this is another one I keep to myself. Yeah, I don't have any desire. I don't feel any pull to use it with anyone else. I mean, that could change, but for now, I'm very happy to have it all to me. So next, have the Blooming Cat Tarot. And this deck is so cute. It's just so cute. So these are the backs. Now, if you're the kind of person who worries that you're going to see if a card's reversed, well, yeah, you will. But actually, I really like the way they look like that. I mean, to me, I don't pick cards by looking at the backs, so it doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't affect me, and I'm not going to shy away from a card just because it's reversed. So, I love this card. It's just a sweet little deck. It's really, really cute. Super easy to read. It's really just, it's another deck that it's just a happy deck, and I don't mean that as like, oh, that's all it is, but it makes me happy, it's just so cute. And you still have a lot of the classic imagery. The face, look at that face, he's so cute. But yeah, it's a really, really sweet deck. So I enjoy it, and I might use this with someone, probably not as the primary deck, but I might use it, just for an extra card or two. I think that would be a really good use for, when working with clients and people. Probably I wouldn't use it as the main deck. But who knows? Depends on my feeling. Depends on that, just the way I feel with the client in that moment. So next. So here's another deck. This is the Line Defined. That is an exception to the way I feel about black and white decks. So, these are the backs. And this deck was made by, what's his name? Wyatt, Hesmeyer? He's a tattoo artist, and he does amazing work. If you find him on Instagram, I think he's under the Line Defined. You can see some of his work, and it's amazing. His lines are impeccable. This deck is really, really special. It's, again, there's so much to draw from, and I feel like it's got a very unique perspective on the cards, and I really enjoy that. And this is a deck that I used the heck out of when I got it, and for a long time, and then I haven't lately because, way leads on to way, and new decks come in. But I think it's time to spend some more time with this deck because it's a fabulous deck. I honestly have no idea if it's still available. Maybe, hopefully, because it's such a great deck. But I love it. I don't have any problems seeing details with this deck. I love the sun. I think he made such great use of the white background and the black background that it really helps my eyes anyway. All the details are really clear, and it's just wonderful. Super easy to read, and there's so much symbolism, and look at that. and imagery to pull from and to latch onto and get sucked in by. So yeah, I love this deck. I really don't hear about it. I mean, it's a bit older. You know, I've had this for a few years. So I don't know, maybe that's why. But it's such a great deck, and I feel like it deserves more attention. And again, it may have gotten it when it first came out. I wasn't really hooked into the tarot community at the time, so I don't know. But next, we have the Tyldwick Tarot. Now, this is a deck that I've wanted for a long time. I never got the first edition, and so then what? If you're not aware, the artist Neil Lovell passed away in 2018. His brother took over his business. I'm putting this on the screen because it's so beautiful, and I'm not going to read it all to you, but if you haven't read this, you might kind of pause and read it because it's so beautiful. This deck to me feels extra special because I feel like, I mean, after reading that, and it just feels like this was kind of a collaboration between the two brothers, and I think that it was definitely a work of love, and it just feels special. And I mean, it's special anyway. It's really brilliantly done. The way he created this world, and you know, this is not a deck that you kind of glance at and, you know, rattle off a reading. This is a deck that draws you in, maybe offers you some tea. You know, for me anyway, I mean, you know, read it how you will, but for me, this is a deck to really enter and really spend time with and take your time with, and for me, the return is really powerful. So it's not a deck I use all the time because it requires more of me, but also I want to give it more, if that makes sense. It just takes time. It takes time to really enter and see everything that there is to be seen, and to pick up the messages, because they're there, but they're not necessarily overt. Sometimes they are. I mean, there are some, you know, especially some cards or some moments where, you know, something will leap out. But for the most part, I just have to take my time with it anyway. But again, that's a pleasure. So this is one of my favorite decks, and the cardstock is just perfect. Just everything about this deck is just glorious, and I'm really grateful to have it. And again, I was just so touched by the commemoration that came in with the deck, and I really appreciated it. And obviously I didn't know Neil or his brother, but I could still be touched by it. So next we have Okash and Thorn, and this is a deck that's probably pretty familiar to a lot of people because it definitely got a lot of very deserved attention. These are the backs. The cardstock is sumptuous, really soft and nice. Really nice to shuffle. Really nice to just feel in your hands. I love this Eight of Wands. And this is a deck that to me is very autumnal. And I tend to use it in fall and winter. Not so much spring and summer. But again, I just have lots of decks. So I'm sure I could happily use it right about now. I just tend to reach for other decks instead. But look at this. I just love him. And then, oh man, it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. Very, very much deserving of the acclaim that it's received. Super easy to read. Really, really comfortable to use, in every way. And I just love it. So, and next, we have it's the sister deck. Smoke, Ash, and Embers. Now, I love dragons. Does not want to come out. I don't know why. Oh, okay. I love dragons. I don't really... Pretty sure I don't have any other dragon decks. But when this came out, because it's just so beautiful, and I already knew the quality would be fabulous because of Okash and Thorn, so I really jumped on this. It's again just a warm and welcoming deck. Really, really beautiful artistry. And it's funny because to me, reptiles tend not to be the most expressive of animals. And, I definitely put dragons in that category. But in this deck, they are. And I think that's a feat in and of itself. Look at that. Just, you can feel that. It's just wonderful. I love the bunnies. Yeah, this is just a wonderful deck. It's a deck that's not going anywhere. I probably won't use this with anyone, unless I happen to. Unless I happen to know that they really like dragons, because if they don't, it I don't want to say it's limited, but if somebody's not into dragons and you're reading with a dragon deck, there's like a disconnect there, so it would depend on the person. It would depend on what I knew. I would definitely offer this up as an option for people. So then if they wanted a dragon deck, it's super, super easy to read. Easy to feel. And it's just wonderful. And I keep saying that, but I just love this deck. Really, look at that. I really love it. So, that was Smoke, Ash, and Embers. And next. Alright, so I am, in case you haven't seen any of the previous videos, these decks really aren't in any order, but I am kind of keeping decks by the same creator together. So, we have Lily White and Lily Black. These are two of my favorite decks. I really have a lot of favorites. But don't let that fool you. It should not detract from how wonderful these are, because they are. I can't help that there are so many great decks out there. So I am going to kind of show these together. They're not in order, so, you know, but just to give you an idea. So I will often, actually, let me switch these so you can still kind of see them as we go. Yeah, so, and the backs are just gorgeous. Cardstock is fabulous. And the imagery and the artistry is wonderful. So, and they are the same images. They're just done in different ways. So I should probably, I don't know, maybe we can see if we can find at least one that's the same. So, and I'm sure there's probably, look at that, some comparisons out there. I think I've seen some, maybe. But if you want me to do, you know, a real kind of walkthrough, look at that. Comparing both decks and showing, you know, showing them really in order and matching up the cards. Just let me know, and I'm happy to do that. But I think you, oh, here. So you can see they have very different feelings. It's generally the same picture. I mean, but you can see here the flames are so much more. Here we're reaching up higher, whereas this one's a spear. I mean, there are differences. The swords are a bit different. But for the most part, they're very similar, except for the coloring. But again, there are differences too. So for me, it was impossible to choose between the decks, and I love this so much. Sometimes I use them together, sometimes I use one instead of the other. It just depends on my mood, on my whim, what I feel called to work with. But they're both two of my favorite decks. And I absolutely love them. I love everything about them. Look at that. Yeah, and I moment to moment changes as far as which deck I prefer. So I guess that means I don't really prefer either one. It's just a matter of what's calling to me in that moment. But there's definitely different energies going on between the decks. And while I have these out, I should probably very, very quickly just show you. I also have a mini one. So this is the mini white. It's got the same gorgeous backs, but you can see just pull one. See the size difference. But it's got the same gorgeous imagery. And it's amazing to me how, because these are pretty tiny, but I don't feel like anything's lost in this smaller size. So that makes it great for, traveling, just having a little less weight, taking up a little less space. And it's just wonderful, and it's super easy to shuffle with, and it's the same. I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same wonderful cardstock, and I can even riffle shuffle, and I'm off camera so you can see, but you can hear it. But yeah. So these are decks that I just really, really love. I will use these for other people. And look at her. Man. It's just incredible. And in fact, I have 2 decks coming from Celia Millsville is the author. So I pre-ordered her Boo Tarot, which is so cute. But she also had another deck that is actually by someone else, but it was on her site. So I don't know if she was involved in making it, or if she's just kind of helping. I don't know. But that deck looks incredible. So when that comes, I'll be sure to share it, because I haven't even heard anybody speak about it at all, which astounds me, because it's so gorgeous. But anyway, Lost Tarot, or the Lost Forest 2. Now this deck, I love this deck so much. Look at the backs. So this deck does something that their other decks do as well, which is the cards are made to create this full image when they're put together. So if you order the minors, now these 2 are not in order, but even then you can see how it starts to kind of come together. The suits are very very evocative in terms of their elements. which I really like. So here's a 3, a 4, and a 5 of fire. So you can kind of see that image created. But even when, it's not quite in line, it's in that same vibe, right? And you can just feel that energy. I love this deck. I love to use this deck for really large spreads. Look at that Fool. Oh man. Partly because I just want more of this deck. You know what I mean? Like, to me, just drawing like 3 cards, 4 cards, it's just not enough for this deck. And I wanna get that full experience. I love this card so much. So I tend to use this here, 9. I tend to use this with really large spreads. I tend to for me, when I'm using it for me, I tend to just kind of spread out on the floor or even on my bed. This is another one that just, man. And I'll use like 3/4 of the deck. And this is just such a great deck for doing that. I may have, I think I etched it, but maybe not. I don't think I trimmed it. I don't think so. I don't remember, honestly. It's been a long time. I don't think I trimmed it. I think I did edge it, though. But this is just... This is a deck that just creates that experience for you, I think. It's a deck that just pulls you in and says, join me, And I just love it. And again, I don't use this for like a single card draw or 3-card draw. I use it for big spreads because I want to take full advantage of, oh man, that card. I just want to take full advantage of everything this deck offers. I guess that's the best way to put it. So, this is one that I just tend to use for myself. Probably just because I use so much of the deck, it takes up a lot of space. But I could use it for someone else. Oh, and I forgot one more by Celia. This is Tarot Renard. And this deck, this is one that I came out on Kickstarter, and I thought, well, I don't need this deck. So I resisted, and then I couldn't resist anymore. I mean, look at that. So it's just a sweet, happy deck. Very, very clear in the card meanings. Easy to read. It's not a deck that I use all the time. I have to, well, it's like anything else, right? You got to be in the mood for it. But I love it. And very happy I caved. And it's just a delight. So, yeah. Love this deck. And again, it's that... it's a little different, I think, the cardstock. This feels a little more buttery. I feel like the Lili decks are... I love that too. A bit more smooth, maybe. He's so cute. It's just a great deck. I really enjoy it. And it's wonderful. Everything she does, honestly, is just wonderful. So next, the Starseeker Tarot. Now this, I don't remember if I backed this on Kickstarter, or I might have pre-ordered after the Kickstarter. That feels right. But either way, when I received this deck, so I just love, and I don't know if the camera's gonna pick this up enough, that the variance in colors, and it's, oh man, it's just so pretty. Came with this wonderful matte edging, and then I flipped through it, and I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't connect with it. And I did attempt maybe one, maybe two readings with it, and it just fell flat. It didn't do anything for me, and I said, no, I'm done. So I put it aside, because I was really disappointed, because it is so pretty. And I didn't touch it. I might have looked at it once more. But then, when I was gathering up all my decks to do these videos, I took another look. And for the life of me, I can't tell you what it was that I wasn't connecting with. This deck, oh, it's just wonderful. So this is one that is definitely staying on my desk, and I'm going to be using this over, who knows, at least the next few days, maybe weeks, because I definitely feel that connection now. So I guess this just goes to show that sometimes it's just not the right time. And it's not a matter of it not being right for you. It just might not be the right time for you. And look at how beautiful that is. Yeah, I really like it. And I think that we are going to work wonderfully together. So, it could have been that maybe I was getting a lot of other decks in at the time, and they just drew my interest. It could just be that I'm not the same person I was a few months ago, a year ago. I think I've had this for a good while, but however long it's been, we're changing. Every day we change. Every minute you're changing. So, either way, whatever the cause, I am very, very happy to, I love that, to say that that's a deck that I'm going to be working with for the next good while. So now, we have the Lilifer Tarot. And this is one that I backed. Oh, and I love that little sleeve. It's so cute. But this is one that I backed on Kickstarter. And these are the backs, which I love. And this deck is such a, I don't even know what this deck is. It's wonderful. It's just, it's so kind of simple in some ways, but there's so much packed into these cards. And I love the size of them, by the way. They're kind of maybe like a standard playing card size, like maybe a poker, I don't know. But I really like it. But there's just so much to experience in this deck. And I love the imagery. I just love everything about it, you know. And this is a deck that it just feels like an old friend. It's just so wonderful, and I really enjoy it. I don't know that I'm going to use this with anyone else. It's, you know, I've only had it for, you know, I don't know how long, weeks, months, not super long. So for now, definitely, it's just for me. I feel like it would read really well for other people too. So I may break down and share it. But for right now, it's just gonna stay. It's just gonna stay with me. Yeah, and I really love it. I'm so happy I have it. And I did. The author of this is the author of the Reclaim Oracle. Right? I think that's right. I hope that's right. And that's a deck that I wanted to really like, because I love this one so much. But it just, I mean, I don't have it, so I don't know. But it doesn't really feel like the deck for me. So, all right, we'll do one more really quickly. And that's the Raincoast Pocket Tarot. Now, there is a larger edition. Love the backs. So this deck is very unique. And I really like using this when I've been using a single deck or a couple single decks for a while, just to kind of shake things up and kind of cleanse the palate, I guess, because this is such a unique voice. It's so interesting, and yeah, I really, really like it. This one, I think, is still available. All of Celia Melville's, I'm so sorry. Those are all available, as far as I know. I believe they are all. Lilifer, I think, has a few left, maybe. I think I saw something the other day about that. I have no idea about Somnia, honestly. Yeah, so hopefully most of my decks are going to be available. Yeah, because I know it's frustrating if you see a deck and you like it, and then it's not available. So I was thinking about trimming this down just to the image. Wouldn't that be cool? The only thing is, this would be off-center, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I just obviously want to trim that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed yourself. Maybe you noticed something that sparked your interest, and either confirm that you're interested in a deck, maybe confirm that you're not, or maybe even found a deck that you never found before. And I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe to new channel. Everyone counts, and you count. You especially count, because you're special and you're important, and you deserve the very best. So be good to yourself. Until next time.